ladies and gentlemen in the room here, and to our colleagues on Zoom, thank you so much for joining us on Zoom. Thank you everybody for joining us in the room here. We'll head out into the unknown of this hybrid meeting and see how it works, and I'm hoping that everyone will get a benefit out of the experience. So look, I'm going to chair the meeting today, Jeremy Wright. I'm the District Governor-elect for those who have just joined us, and I'd like to welcome everybody here, the President-elects. Can I congratulate all the President-elects for having the faith from your club to elect you to the position of President starting from July next year. Indeed, applause to all of you. And thank everybody from the district as well as the clubs that have come here. Thanks for some partners who have come here. I think there's a couple of President-elects who have sort of been nominated, haven't been officially ensconced in the position and want to know what it's about. So today is really about an introduction and a briefing for the President.
I can't hear him.
And the real training for President-elect starts early next year. But we wanted to give you
I can't hear him.
Things to talk about. There's someone coming through.
Turn the sound off, remember.
Hello? Is someone talking to me?
Too many people who are not muted.
Okay, so, oh.
Can you hear us? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Thumbs up, Jude.
Okay, so most people can hear, so it's not our end, unfortunately, it's your end.
So is that perhaps one person having a little bit of difficulty?
Looks like Judy can hear you now. She gave a thumbs up. Would you be able to put yourself on mute though, Judy?
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't quite hear what you were saying.
I was just referring to talking to one of the other participants, but it's all good.
It's all good.
Okay.
Put it up.
Okay. So you saw on the screen there, Julie Colorado. For a start, I'd like to thank Julie for putting this event together tonight and doing all the work that basically surrounds the agenda for tonight. A couple of other people I'd like to thank. We have three people here who are our hosts. Thyra, who is the President-elect for next year. Usha, who is the President-elect, who is President this year. And Rick Vasella. Rick organised the club and the arrangements, and he's also the host, a member of the host club. So thank you very much for having us tonight. There's an agenda tonight which involves a number of cast members, and I'm sure they're going to be very informative. I'm simply going to do a very brief introduction now and acknowledge country, and then I'll pass to our District Governor, Warwick Richardson. But before that, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Wongal country, Wongal territory of the Eora Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners, past, present, and the future leaders of this country. So, without further ado, we have a welcome and introduction from our District Governor, Warwick Richardson. Warwick.
Thanks, Jeremy. Do they want to see me? I've been out in the high seas all day today with Jeremy's club while he's been slaving, getting tonight ready. But thank you once again for all coming along, because what we've started this year, Jeremy is going to continue into his year, and Janice likewise. So the succession plan and the plans that we have, we want to get it out to the new incoming presidents. And am I doing something wrong? Too low? I'm too tall. I couldn't crouch down. So we want to continue on with that momentum that we start this year in keeping the district moving forward. Hence the pre-pets early in the piece, so that we can get the new presidents and the RPs as well up and running again. But like I said, it's good to have that succession plan and work with Jeremy, and I encourage you all to make the best of what we've got. Julie's My Learning platform that we've worked on. The whole team through the district this year has been outstanding in the way we've developed and worked around COVID. So that'll be an ongoing work in progress, and something that will be a benefit to the district for quite some time to come. But anyhow, enjoy your meals, and Jeremy, I'll give it back to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. To start proceedings off tonight, we've got Dot Hennessy, who is going to present from the Zoom room, and we've got slides that are going to be coordinated by Julie here. Dot Hennessy is our wonderful district coordinator, district director coordinator, and we wanted to start off with an understanding of the district for all of us, because there's lots we want to say about connecting districts, the district to the clubs, and vice versa, connecting clubs to the district. So I think I'm going to hand over to Julie at my end, and Dot, over to you.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, Julie. It's my honour to welcome you all tonight, and good evening to each of you. I'm really pleased to be able to present this opportunity to you, and congratulations to each of you on being elected as your president-elect of your club. It is indeed a really great honour for you to be able to have this role, and it's a very special role, and I know you'll have a wonderful year because you're getting all of the support and assistance you can at this time. I would like to focus on the district team, who's who in the team, what are our various roles, why we have what we have and what we do, when, the timeline and the things that we need to do, what by when, and how we're all going to make it to happen. I'm going to focus on the district organisation chart and the structure of the district. Warwick carried out a major restructure this year, and we want to ask you to have a really good look at this organisational chart, and to be able to look at the current structure and understand and know all of the roles in the district. And this is a real first for us to have an organisation chart like this. We also want to share with you about the district leadership team, who they are and their various roles, our website, communication at club district, and using those channels of communication to advantage. And also for you to think about your club. Are you a vibrant club? So I'd now like to focus on the district organisation chart. Excuse me, I've prepared some speakers' notes to go with this presentation because we don't have a lot of time to go into great detail tonight, but we'll do that later on in your journey. So those notes have been prepared to help you to understand where you sit in the structure and how important your role is. So if you look at the district organisation chart, if you go straight to the top of the page, you'll see clubs of the district 9675. So that's where you sit, and there you are the most important people as part of this district structure. And then if you look down, straight down underneath you, you'll see what they call COTA, the Committee of Association. In plain speak, that is really the District Board of Directors. And then we have our CEO or District Governor, Warwick. I'd like to move to the left when you're looking at the screen, and you'll see the Assistant Governors. Now, the Assistant Governors, their roles are extremely important for you to be able to be your connection between your club and the District Governor. And the level of communication for you is really important. And it's so important that you go to your District Governor first for all levels of support and information, and then they will guide you and point you in the right direction. They're also your mentors, and they're also there to make sure that they give you the messages that are coming from the District Governor and the district team, so that you can keep your clubs engaged and involved and active. Looking on the right-hand side of the chart in grey, excuse me, is where we have our directors sitting. I'd like you to think of the directors as if you're working in a larger organisation where you have sections or divisions or different departments. And these people each have a portfolio. In the past, we used to call them chairs, and we're now calling them directors. And each of those directors have a specific role and a team that sit under each of their directorships. And as we move through the Rotary year, you'll get a greater appreciation and understanding of everybody's role and where we all fit together. So it's really important that you learn and have a good look at the district structure and gain a great appreciation of all of those particular portfolios of those directors. Those directors will work with you to provide advice, support on projects. We align with the Rotary International monthly themes, and we try to use those themes to make our club's programs vibrant. For example, August is membership month, and it's really a good opportunity
Dot, you've just gone on mute.
I can't unmute Dot.
I'm unmuted now, thank you. So those Rotary monthly themes are a good example for you to be able to use to your advantage. And there's presentations being made by the district team to help you to use those resources. Moving on to being a vibrant club. As part of your training, you'll be looking at a vibrant club program and how you can implement that into your club together with your strategic plan and what you're planning to do with your board and your members for your coming Rotary year. The strongest message I can give to you is to always ask the question as a president or any member of your club, would I join my Rotary club? And this is why our programs should be vibrant, should be energising and informative for our members. So a range of guest speakers are available from your district portfolios on that grey side of the organisational chart. In the middle of the organisation chart, you'll see we have district support and we have different district committees and governance committee. And the governance committee and those other committees are really important, and they report directly to the district governor and through to the board of directors or COTA. Your club calendar is extremely important, and you'll learn this as you move forward. And I strongly encourage each of you now to have a look at your calendar moving forward for your Rotary year, and have a look at the Rotary International themes, have a look at the projects you're already running now, and look at how you can make and take advantage of the resources that we have put into place for you to use to have a great year. In summary, a call to action, and I ask you to start now. You have your AGM in most cases coming up, I believe. Some of you might already have had them. Consider your team to work with you for your Rotary year. Approach people that you feel you would like to help grow, encourage, and develop and support you in your role as president. Also, to be looking at your club assessment and doing a survey of your members to seek out their interests and the areas where they want you to focus. Look at your areas of focus for the coming year, develop your calendar and your program as I've mentioned, and have an action plan for each. And most of all, engage every single member in your club to be able to be involved in and have a job to do. So in summary, look at the organisation chart, Look at the website. Our district website is our first point of contact to go to for all information, and the organisation chart can be found there. The assistant governors, in summary, are your first point of contact for support and mentoring. So overall, in summary, thank you for the opportunity to present this very brief overview to you. I look forward to working with you. You know I'm always available to be able to support you at any time. Do enjoy your evening. I'm sorry I'm unable to be with you tonight. I'm now going back to the National Training Awards. We have 2 finalists in the awards from the Illawarra. Good evening, everybody, and have a great evening. Bye for now.
That's great. Dot, thank you very much. That was terrific. And it was on purpose to put Dot on first because she was able to emphasise the fact that the district serves the clubs. The clubs are our boss as district officers. And we have a very clear idea in the way we work as district officers that we serve the clubs, so we serve you as presidents. And we will be proceeding from this year to the next year to further years with that in mind. Speaking of proceeding over next year and the year after, our next speaker is Janice Hall, who's the district governor nominee, and part of this leadership team, you've heard about the DG train, who I'm very happy to say with Warwick, myself and Janice are working really closely together. So Janice, over to you.
Thank you. Welcome everybody. I'm not nearly as tall as Warwick. Welcome everybody, and welcome to those on Zoom as well. It's really lovely to, I can see all your faces here. It's lovely, right and close. Thank you all for putting up your hand for service in Rotary. President-elect, for Jeremy's year, it's going to be a great year. Not as good as mine, just got to slide that in. But it's going to be a great year. And as Warwick and Jeremy have said, we have embarked on a 3-year plan. We're not going to be going off hither and swinging that way, because we find that that has happened in the past and Rotary seemed to roll along. But with new structures, new people, COVID and post-COVID, we're looking at a more corporate structure where we're all on the same page, and we're not going to make you go left and right and then up and down and around the corner. So Warwick has been quite revolutionary in what he's done, the way he's set up the district. And Jeremy and I are quite committed to continue that and make it happen. So hopefully you'll all be on board, or if not, I'll come and I'll rip your arms off or something horrible. No, we'll all be on board, and it's a great privilege to work with you. I can remember my very first president-elect. I think I've been in Rotary for 5 minutes, and the next thing I was president, and I was the first female in the Rotary Club of Cogra, and the first female president. And that is a story I shall embark upon after a glass of red wine one night. Very good story. What I'd like to do, just practically speaking, I'm going to share with you something that I didn't know until I almost, became assistant governor. But you do need to know that, first of all, we're going to have one of these next year, aren't we, Jeremy? And in my year too, we're going to have one of these, a little directory, just a little one, not little, but a little refined. Yay! We like that. But our district is divided into regions. And some people, you just don't know that, but we are a big district, 59 clubs. And could I welcome Maureen Fry tonight, who is the president-elect of our brand new Rotary Club of Passport Club, Sylvania Waters. Welcome, Maureen. We have 59 clubs in our district now, and we are divided into regions. And I've been sending out to you nominating forms, and you're probably thinking, what on earth is she on about? But each year, each of the clubs have representatives on the district governor nominating subcommittee. And every year, there is someone nominated for the COTA, which is the district board, just as simple as that. And each person does a 3-year stint. on quota, unless life overcomes them. But for the voting, we have Region 1, and your AG groups are Sydney Central, Eastern Suburbs and Western Harbour. Region 2, Region 1 is currently being represented by Edie Leday, and she is ongoing. Region 2 is Sydney Northwest, Sydney Southwest and Macarthur, and you are represented well by Richard Booth, and he is ongoing. And Region 3, South Illawarra, North Illawarra, Sutherland and St George, and David Burrows has finished his term, so Region 3, you have to elect a quota representative for next year. So if that's how it works, you know, we do, as the doc said, we put the clubs at the top. You have a lot to say, and we really want you to assist in making our district bigger and better. You're going to hear about this a lot. This is our vision statement, and it is at the front of everything that I'm going to be telling you. It just says, the first word, together. We are all in this together. I think somebody said that about COVID, didn't they? But we are a team. Now, Jeremy and Warwick and I, maybe, you know, we have a name. We're only a chief for a little time, you know, then we go back to being an Indian. So we're not going to be really mean chiefs because won't have us back as Indians otherwise. So we are part of a team, and that's the approach that Warwick has started, and I really applaud him for that. He was absolutely insistent on getting teams for his year. And Jeremy and I think that's a great idea, and we're just going to fire his coattails. So together we see a world, and we perceive, we understand, we read, we listen. So we see a world where people unite. We come together, we have fun, we have trivia nights, or we go sailing on the high seas like some of us did today, or we play golf, or whatever we do, but we unite. But not only do we just, lots of people unite, lots of people play golf and go for a roll and do all that stuff, but we unite and take action. That's what we do. We see a cause, we respond, we listen to it. And with Rotary grants and our fundraising and networking and partnerships, we make a difference because we get together and we take action. And the reason we do that is we want to create lasting change. Long-lasting change after we're gone. Those of you who work in the corporate world, and I worked in university for 35 years or something unbelievable, but the whole thing about was setting up teams that I could step back and they went on their own. I think that's really important because one of your jobs, you will be president, but one of your main roles is to seek out future leaders. Somebody tapped you on the shoulder, somebody asked you to be a president-elect, or maybe they just, poor Paul Bateman, he just got told he was doing it again, didn't you, Paul? He just rolls over, and it's very, very amiable, and we appreciate it, Paul, thank you. But you are looking for future leaders, and Jeremy and I are looking for future leaders. We want other people to take on all the roles around the district. It's a great privilege. It's a huge learning curve. You really need a pair of skates, but I can loan you mine after I finish with them. But it is such a privilege and a pleasure. I know when I first joined Rotary, the best thing that ever happened to me was that within 5 minutes of joining, I was president. Within 3 minutes of becoming president, I was invited onto the district youth committee. And I learned so much, and I realised that even though sometimes my club was up and down and roundabout, Rotary is a big organisation. And for any of you who have been, and if you haven't, put it on your agenda, to go to an international convention, it is mind-blowing. It is amazing. You're there with, 30, 40, 50,000 people just like us. They might have a different language, might have different customs, they might wear different clothes, but they're there because they unite and they take action. Can I share? I'm not sure about time. I'm going to share one little story anyway. Sitting in, sure, have I got 1 minute? Thank you. I've got to tell a story. You will learn I like telling stories. Sitting in one of the Rotary International Conventions, sitting next to a woman, as you do, and she had the name. Oh, you're from Australia. I can't do the accent. You're from one of the states of America. We were chatting and talking. Long story short, I said, oh, she said, I'm the incoming district governor for my district. Oh, that's great. I said, how's it going? She said, I already got my new club. I said, oh, how did that come about? Because I'm fascinated. She went to a community organisation, it was the nurses, sitting there, sat next to this man, and they were chatting. And he said, I'd really like to do something and be involved. She said, why don't you join Rotary? And he said, I can't. And she thought, well, I've heard I haven't been asked before, or I won't, or it's too expensive, but I never heard I can't. And she said, why? He said, I'm a polio survivor. I spent 8 hours a day in my lung. She said, what do you do the rest of the time? And she said, can you type? He said, yes, good. She said, you're my new secretary. And that club has got now 100 people in it of a very, very diverse nature. So together, oh, I haven't finished my sentence, to create lasting change, the globe in our communities and in ourselves, and most importantly in ourselves. You will change as president, and you will change for the better. You'll get to make fabulous friends and find a whole world of opportunities out there that you would just love to be involved in. And remember, ring Jeremy anytime that you've got a problem. Thank you.
Warwick's here. And then you'll get into the nitty-gritty of what you'll be able to learn through the My Learning with Julie Colorado after that, and then provide, as I said, a preview of the year ahead, and talk about change. And look, Rotary's changing in a number of ways, but I think there are 3 really important changes. And look, we had a great session with the AGs and the AGs-elect last week. And for those from last week who have joined us this week, which is terrific of you to join us back this week, you'll see, I'll probably repeat a couple of things that I said last week. But I think three big ways we're changing. You've all seen the way COVID has affected us. So we've got new access and new technology. And I think it's sped up the pace of change of us adopting new technology dramatically. And I think as Rotary, we've got to learn these new, what we're all talking about, life skills. And there'll be opportunities to develop these life skills in your role. Zoom has been a catalyst, but we now have My District and My Learning, thanks to fantastic work that Julie and Dot and Warwick did earlier in this year. We're looking at websites across the district, and Kathy Mason, the Public Image and Communications Director of the district, is planning some terrific resources for you in the future for your websites. They may be terrific, but if you need some help, there'll be some guidance and help through Kathy Mason. And then social media. We need to be much smarter with social media, and because the world is moving to much greater use of social media. So that's one of 3 changes I'd like to stress. Second one is in diversity and membership. And Judith Jones, I wanted to swap with Janice so I could be the district governor in Judith Jones's year. She's the president nominee of Rotary International worldwide. So she's over the 1.2 million people around the world in 2 years' time. So in Janice's year. So look, Janice didn't agree to me swapping with Janice because I want to be president, the district governor in her. So I've written to Judith to see if she can come forward one year and be president this year, not next year, not the year after. I think Judith will inspire much more diversity, and I think we should grab hold of the fact that Judith's there now as the first, Jennifer's there as the first, I'll get things right soon, as the first female president to inspire not only membership but diversity, and to enlarge our celebration of diversity, not only for those people who've come recently, but also I'd like to think we can acknowledge those people who came 60,000 years ago also, and engage with our Aboriginal brothers and sisters. Third change, I think, is in the 7th area of focus that Rotary has taken on only this year. And it's in the obvious area of environment and climate. And look, we all experienced the terrible bushfires this year, and both Warwick and I and many Rotary members probably suffered from the damage that was caused. And it was clearly a hotter year than ever before and windier. And I was in an area of farmland that for 160 years had never experienced fire in white settlement experience because it's a very moist area. I think Rotary going to the area of recognising the environment as a seventh area of focus is also a fantastic way of us acknowledging that we can be across many generations and certainly younger generations for whom this is just as important as for the older generation. So we should see that as another opportunity for membership, demonstrating that Rotary is really addressing contemporary issues, and clearly the environment and climate is contemporary. The other priorities that Janice and I want to work with, and this is really developing on from the great strides that Warwick has made, developing stronger links between districts and clubs. And I think we've started with that already in tonight's presentations. The importance of assistant governors. These 10 people who rove around the district being your mentors and being the pipeline between the clubs and the district are really crucial for making sure that you have access to all the resources the district has to help your club be a successful club. So I'm going to encourage you to get to know the assistant governors. There are several assistant governors in the room, assistant governors elect in the room, and we've got to sort out how their area changes next year. But they are really crucial people, and they will be my absolute first reports and first contacts about what's happening in the district from the clubs, and back down from the district team back down to say, here are all the resources you have. There's going to be a new focus on my district and my learning, not a new focus, an increased focus, because it started this year. And we're going to encourage your strategic plans, and Stephen Humphries is here to present a little bit about strategic plans, goals and citations, your governance, and we have Ron Brown speaking later about that. And then new club membership and marketing activities. Wait and see what Kathy Mason has in store, because there's some fantastic new ideas she has for that area. More of the other good stuff, the polio and foundation support, and all these acronyms you see there. Half of them I don't know what they represent, but you as president-elects will learn what some of these stand for. And after you're in Rotary for about 10 years, you get to know what most of them stand for. Don't worry, they are international services, activities, youth activities, vocational services, community projects, all that can be valuable to your clubs. And the community projects, we can coordinate from district the projects that you have with similar projects in other clubs. And we have district projects that you might want to latch onto and help the district with. So there's community projects where you can be involved at the district and will help you at the club level. So that'll be part of the next couple of years. But soon we'll be returning to the new normal, whatever the new normal is. And I think we're part of the new normal right now. I think my last message is, prepare yourself to change the world. I think it's going to be an exciting future. I think Rotary is truly changing as it has to change. And I think it's wonderful that your clubs have put faith in you as president-elects. And as a district, what we want to do is support that faith and give you the resources that make your year a very successful year. So thank you. That's sort of an introduction to what you should expect in the next year or two. And now we're going to get down into the nitty-gritty of the learning resources that are available. So I'm going to pass to Julie, and Julie Colorado is going to take you into an introduction and have you thinking about what will start in earnest in February, March next year. Over to Julie Colorado.
I'm Julie Colorado. I'm an assistant governor, Northern Illawarra, part of the Rotary Club of Dapto, and I'm also the Deputy Director of Learning and Innovation. Okay, So what to expect? Pre-pets, the 20th of November, we're going to get you into My Rotary. Who doesn't have a My Rotary account online? Everyone's got a My Rotary account? Wonderful. Not all of you have a My Learning account, but we're going to take care of that. My Learning is a learning management system where we're storing our resources and we're creating some interactive activities to engage you in online learning. We're going to encourage you to do the club health check. Has anyone done the club health check before? No? Yes? So what I've done is I've put the club, and I'll show you that in a moment. Every club now has a club health check in SurveyMonkey. You can do that online. You can send it out to your club members, and then you let me know when it's finished, and I automatically give you the results and a link to the results. So that's coming up. Get Ready President, that is in the Learning Centre, which is part of my Rotary International, the Learning Centre. And so recently we surveyed you, Learning and Development, the Directorate, and 65% of people said they wanted hybrid delivery. That means a bit of online and a bit of face-to-face. So after following this, between now and the 27th, you'll have some jobs to do, which I'm going to tell you. But on the 27th of March, we'll have a full day workshop to kick off PETS 2021. We'll focus on governance. Stephen and Ron will be very happy about that. Change management, because we have to change. I agree with you, Jeremy. It's very important that we understand the process of change management. How to use technology. So Stephen and I will be talking about how you use My District more effectively and how you use My Rotary, My Learning, and social media, etc. So we're going to actually track what you do this time. So if you've attended a workshop, completed the health check, completed Get Ready President, you'll get a badge. I'm trying to get more for you. I'm talking to the DG train about a trip around the world, but I don't think I'm going to get that. And you can't go at the moment anyway. So when you go into the Learning Centre, you can actually generate a certificate, and we want you to do that and upload it to My Learning, and that's the badge that you get for completing that. Now, it will take you about 2 hours to do what you need to do between now and the 27th of March, and it will put you in a really good spot to begin PETS. So after the 21st of March, we will be running it online. This time we will facilitate your learning. You'll be broken into groups and AGs and group facilitators. Amazingly, 50 people put up their hand to learn how to use My Learning. And I'll be running training with those facilitators between now and the 27th of March. So the first session is managing your club. And there'll be an activity in My Learning, interacting with the material that we used in May this year, a Zoom session on strategic planning, and to track that you're online. And it's not Big Brother stuff, it's about helping you if you're having difficulty. Is that you've completed that interactive activity and you'll learn about governance, you as a president, the importance of governance, and you'll develop a draft strategic plan. Remember, you've done your health check, you know what the strengths and weaknesses of your club are, so you're really ready to move forward with that. And you'll get a second badge, which I haven't designed yet, so I can't show you. Week 2 is membership. Renga is now will be the Director of Membership, and we all know that if we don't grow, we're not going to go anywhere. So it's increasingly important. So Renga will be talking about his plans for the year. There'll be interactive activity on membership, and the tracking process will be a draft membership plan for your club. And you'll get a third badge. Promotion and branding. Kathy, this is all about you and your plans for the year, because it's so important that we know how to brand our clubs and promote what we do. We don't do it very well. Kathy's got great plans in place to help us do it better. So there'll be, again, an activity, social networking, and there'll be a Zoom session by Kathy. I haven't told you that yet, Kathy, I just decided today. So Kathy will be running a Zoom, only an hour session, and about the importance and how we can support you. And again, you get a 4th badge. There'll be group facilitators and assistant governors who work with the president-elect. Should be broken into your AG groups, and you work within those groups. And those sessions will be facilitated. So there'll be people there to help you. If you grapple with the technology, we will help you. And it's not onerous. We're not asking you to climb Mount Everest. We're asking you to do a few simple tasks to get you ready for your year. And I know when I was the president, I did go through that process, and it was a great year. And we had something to measure against at the end of the year. The club felt really good about what they had accomplished. So you will get an email from me with the enrolment key. You can access my learning and work through those activities, only up to the 27th of March at this stage. And if you can't find my learning, you go to the district site and the link to my learning is on the navigation bar. So that's all I'm going to say, but I'm open for questions. Let me know if there's any questions online. Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Keith from Backtown Rotary. I don't need one. I have a question. Yeah, one of the sessions from 10th of March, 10th of April, I've got quite a big function on, which is a virtual Wi-Fi run by a person at the moment. That week, now, is that a whole week, or is it just a couple of hours? Because it's all hands on deck to go cover that week.
No, we don't expect you to be available for a whole week. The online material will be available from the 22nd of March. If you move ahead, you can, but for a week, it would probably be an hour, an hour and a half. Okay, so please don't think we're asking you for 3 weeks of your time. Any other questions?
Margaret from Dapto, and sorry, this may well have been stated earlier, but I omitted it if it was said. Are these PowerPoint presentations that people made, are they going to be uploaded to the website that we can look over? Well, we just want to look over the main points of what people said.
Yeah, we can put them into my learning. Yeah. Any other questions? I've learned so much in the last 12 months. My head hurts. Any questions from people in Zoom? Is it clear? Are you looking forward to it? Judy, you're one of mine. I'm going to sit beside you. We'll get there. So, Kathy, sorry for putting you on the spot, but we thought, as you know, that promotion and was so important, promotion and branding. And Kathy's doing a magnificent job in getting that together. Okay, so I might hand over now to...
In the old directory, and when we get our new directories, there is a whole little page with your assistant governors all listed for you on it. And it's not quite settled yet because this is pre-pets, and Jeremy and his potential AGs are still having discussions and working on it. But as soon as an AG is appointed to your group, we will let you know. That might be early next year, Jeremy, by the time it settles, do you think? Yeah. In February, yeah, so early next year. And then you will know who your AG is. My AG, I love her to bits, is Anita Robinson. Even though I might be a DG, whoever I'm supposed to be, I still have an AG. And I just applaud you, Anita, for your AG work. Thank you, it's really great. Having said that, thank you all the other AGs in the room. I don't want you to get jealous either. I love you all as well. Thank you. But your AG is a really important person for you as a president-elect and then as a president. Just, you know, you will have their phone, you'll have it on speed dial on your phone, and you'll have their email, and they will organise groups for you to meet. And not only will you have your AG to us, you will have each other. Because when you're in your groups, in the groups that I've talked a little bit about before, and you'll be in your little group, whatever it's going to be, you'll have 4 or 5 or 6 other presidents, and you form a little network, and you can ring them up, and they can be on speed dial too. And like, I know that that table down there, there are a couple of first-time presidents, and they're going to be the bestest of friends, I can tell you, before this is all over. In fact, from when I was president, I still have 2 very close friends that I made. We're all president-elects together and brand new at it all. So it's very important to know your AG. They're very friendly people. I've met all of the ones that are going to be thinking about taking on the role. And those AGs are looking at you, because we need AGs to follow them. Your AGs and you are looking at future leaders. It's a great role. You get to meet fabulous people, and you learn a lot about Rotary. The more, as I said before, the more you learn about Rotary, the more you understand what an amazing organisation it is. It just gets, and I've been in it for not 100 years, Warwick. I said 100 years the other night, you won't let me live it down. I think about 25. Women weren't allowed to join until 1989. And I joined in 94, so I gave them a few years to settle down. There is an assistant governor description role that has been sent out to the AGs, and the AGs, and well, Jerry's going to talk a little bit about that, and we'll have some meetings about that. But if the AGs could have a look at that, and one of the things that, as I said, they're going to be really concerned with is mentoring you as presidents, forming networks, forming partnerships, looking after you and mentoring you and taking care of you. The other, it's a 2-way street. You look after your AG too. You can invite them to club functions, club dinners. They will visit you officially. They visit with the DG. But sometimes they just pop in because they really like visiting your club. And that's really nice when they feel quite comfortable and coming along. So if they're a bit cross with their own club, they can come to yours. It's a big Rotary family. It all works really well. So look after your AGs, and AGs look after your clubs, and you have a wonderful year in Rotary.
Julie, well done. And look, I'd just like to acknowledge there are, I think, 8 AGs and AGs elect in the meeting with us today. Maybe you could put your hand up, Rick Fasella, you know, over there. Rick, good. Kerry Guillaume is on the screen. Kerry Guillaume is on the screen. Julie Colorado, you've met before. Anita is here in the room. Angela Porritt. Angela is in the room over there. Risha Garg is here. Risha. David Maturo, put your hand up, David. And Paula Jesse. Paula is over there. They're going to be your future go-betweens between the district and the clubs, and very essential to the operation of your clubs and the district as a whole. So now we get on to 2 very specific areas and an introduction to those 2 areas. We're looking at strategic planning and governance, really crucial areas for your club. And we have Stephen Humphreys here to start off with the strategic planning. Stephen is a past district governor and has been helping this district get its strategic plan together, which is now virtually complete. So please give a warm applause to Stephen Humphreys.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. A great pleasure to be here. And yes, I'll get behind the camera in a minute. I've been asked tonight to just chat briefly about strategic planning, but more specifically about you planning for your year as president. And I cannot stress too much how you really need to start planning, I would suggest, today. It's not moving, Julie. Is it? No. So I can't see. I like quotes, and this is probably one that you've all seen before. It's quite obvious, I think. If you fail to plan, you're certainly planning to fail. And there are many examples, not just in our district, but I think throughout Rotary clubs in the world, where incoming presidents have failed to plan. And by doing so, they've had a pretty ordinary year as president, and their clubs probably had an even more ordinary year under their leadership. Could I encourage you to have a look at the Strategic Planning Guide, which is a Rotary document. If you haven't already seen that, it's already been mentioned tonight about strategic planning. This is a really good document, and it will give you a really good head start into your year. Could I just ask if any of your clubs actually have a strategic plan that you know of? Not very many. I think I'd like to encourage you, as probably your first step tomorrow, is to ask your current president if there is a strategic plan, and if there is, if you could have a copy of it, and if there isn't, I'd encourage you to start thinking about working on one. As part of this strategic planning guide, which is in this document, there's actually four phases. I'll go through them one by one. The first of those is really just work out where you're at now, how you're going.
See, we can't see it, that's not.
Technology.
Sorry, I can't.
Who can't see what?
Maybe Kerry can move the people over to the side.
Are we missing some of the screen? I think most of the stuff's underneath that, so it should be all right. So the first step really is to just work out where you're at, as much as anything else as a club. And if you've got a strategic plan, that'd be a good starting point. But if you don't, well, then you really need to work out what your starting point is. Determine what your club's strengths and weaknesses are. You could perhaps do a member satisfaction survey, although I imagine most clubs have already done that anyway, and identify opportunities and challenges in your community. This is not something that you should be doing by yourself, though. I would like to think that you've already identified a board, or certainly most of the members of your board, and you really need to involve everybody in the planning of next year. You're not in this alone, and it's important that you remember that you are not in this alone. You are not there by yourself. And if you share, if you encourage, if you involve, if you bring your team into the whole planning process, well, then they will take ownership of the plan as well, and it will move forward even more easily. The second phase is to just work on a vision for your club, work out what you would like to be. You might be pretty happy with where your club's at now, and you don't really want to change it too much. But there might be areas of your club that you and your board might think need to be changed, or perhaps worked on a little bit, and that this is where you need to do that. The second phase of developing a plan for your club, for your year. You then need to set your priorities. Obviously, you will come up with a lot of ideas, but you need to determine which of those ideas are more important than others. Because there's a big chance you'll come up with a lot of ideas, and 12 months, you might be sitting here tonight thinking, 1st of July, it's only 7 months away, and then I've got 12 months, but you'd be very surprised how quickly your 12 months as a president will go. It is a very busy time, and if you've planned well, you'll have lots on the calendar, and you'll be busy anyway, so time passes. But by planning and getting organised, you'll actually have a more enjoyable year as well. The other thing you really need to do with any goal is to actually monitor how you're going. Not much point in setting a goal and then just chucking it in the cupboard and not ever looking at it again. Your strategic plan or your annual plan, whatever you might like to call it, is something that you need to have on the agenda at your board meetings each and every month, so that you can look at and review, determine what your progress is, what might need to be changed, how well you're going, and areas where you perhaps you might need to change tack. You might have a vision or an idea of where you're going with some particular goal, but part of the way through the year there might be a need to adjust that. And if that's the case, you need to make sure that that happens. And that will only happen if your plans are on the table each and every month at your board meetings. It was the... I thought I missed the slide. This is the citation goals for this year, and you'll get your own next year. Your Rotary International President each year sets a series of goals for you and your club to achieve a citation. They used to call this a presidential citation, but then everybody thought it was just for the president. So it's now just called a Rotary citation. I must admit, when I was district governor, I always encourage my clubs to use this document as a planning tool for the year. If you use this document as a planning goal, as a means of setting goals for your year, one, your club will receive the Rotary citation, but secondly, you will have planned well for the year and your club will have had a very, very successful year. So in summary, check out your strategic plan. If you don't have one, I'd suggest you start working on one sooner rather than later. Establish some goals, and it's really important that these goals are fairly specific. You need to be able to measure them because you need to know whether you've achieved them or not. Don't go setting goals that are really unattainable. You really need to make sure that what you would like to achieve during that your 12 months as president are attainable goals and that they're realistic goals. No point aiming for a goal that you've really got no chance of reaching, because that would then become a demoralising thing for all members of your club. And all goals need to be time specific. Unless you put a time factor on all your goals, they're pretty much a wish. Unless you have set a time period for you to achieve a certain goal, well then the chances are you won't achieve it. Make sure you've got an action plan for every goal. The goal is one thing, but you need to determine how you're going to achieve that. Part of that is also who's going to work on it. So it's, we saw it up there before: who, how, when, where. There's a whole lot of W's, but they all make up part of you achieving the goals that you and your board have set for your club. I already mentioned the regular evaluation. I would encourage you to do that at least monthly. And encourage your members. It's a really good idea to make sure that your members know what the goals of your club are. It's all very well for your board to have a good idea of what you'd like to achieve, but unless you're sharing them with the members of your club, then the chances that you're going to achieve them is probably pretty slim. So encourage your members, make sure they're aware of what the goals are that you would like to achieve during that period of time. You've got to work out how you're going to involve members in the goal setting process as well. I mentioned that a bit earlier. Make sure your board's involved. Make sure that you have other people in your club who take ownership of the goals. Delegation, this is a really big word when you're a president. I've seen a lot of presidents who try to do too much themselves, and it becomes such a burden on them that the club then becomes almost non-functional. It's important for the success of your club that you share and delegate. But you need to pick the right people to delegate to. That's a really critical factor as well. Don't just delegate for the sake of delegating. You need to make sure that you pick the right person, delegate, make sure that person knows what you would like them to achieve, and then leave them to do the job. Make sure you've got all the information you need to achieve your goals, and then what are you going to do once you meet those goals, once you achieve them? It is really important that you celebrate your accomplishments. If you've set a goal for your club and you've achieved it, it's important that you celebrate that achievement, and it's important that all of your club members share in that celebration. I'll finish with a quote I started. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. It's just that simple. Thank you.
Stephen, thank you so much. Some wisdom from being a club president and a district governor as well. Can I just add one thing in terms of what Stephen suggested for you to go as president-elect, go and ask your club, your current club president and your board what their strategic plan is if you don't know about it, and perhaps ask them what the goals are currently for the club if you don't know what they are. Important to understand, and I know when I became club president, one of my best mentors was the club president from the previous year. And I'm sure you'll experience the same. Your current president will be a terrific mentor for your year, and past presidents also. So if you want help with these goals and the strategic plan, start with your current club president. There are assistant governors around who will also help you, but start at your club and talk to them. I'm sure the generosity of Rotarians will allow your board, your past presidents to assist you. So the last specific item on the agenda tonight is club governance. And Ron Brown is the District Club Governance Director and has some terrific introductory words about how you should start thinking about your club governance. Over to Ron Brown.
Thanks, Jeremy. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Governance is one of those things that everyone thinks is terribly boring and dry. I'm one of those sad puppies that thinks it's incredibly exciting and interesting. So I'm going to try and make it exciting and interesting for you. And if all this works very well, we might just get to talking about the big print, the fine print in the annual general meeting. So basically, constitutions, bylaws, and how to prepare for your annual general meeting. Those are the things we're going to focus on for today. I just realised I'm too close to the camera for the Zoom thing. Now, hopefully, this next slide will work. And hopefully the people on Zoom will hear the background music, but it's only music, there's no sound you're going to miss out on. I got to tell you, it's a simple software program called Doodly, D-O-O-D-L-Y,
and it's like $95 for a lifetime subscription at the moment on a special deal. And it's really simple to use because even I make that myself. The only thing I couldn't find was a guy with a beard in the characters. They had like Moses or somebody, but I figured it was Moses. Okay, so you'll probably see that little intro again at PETS. Paul's going to focus on a couple of the areas of governance that we're about to run into, given the time of year. So first of all, constitutions and bylaws we're going to talk about very briefly. We're going to talk about preparing for your annual general meeting because if you haven't had it yet, you're going to be very close to it in December. And that's when you've got to do your annual reporting and also have your elections. And we're going to talk about the yearly financials that you need to create. So going with those, constitutions and bylaws. Constitutions are basically the rules for your club. It's how your club will operate. Now, they've been written a long time ago. They align with the district constitution and also the Rotary International Constitution. So you just need to make sure that if you have any changes that you want to implement to those rules, that you get your members' approval. And it does need to align with Rotary's constitution as well. So you can't go off having some really weird constitution out of left field. But if there are things you want to add into your constitution, you can do that. Constitutional change technically requires a thing called a special resolution, which requires 75% of your members to vote for it and approve it. Otherwise, it won't go forward. So just need to remember that. Bylaws are wonderful things that the board can create. So these are things that can help the club operate without having to go to the members and create constitutional change. But they have similar sort of binding effect on the operations of your club as a constitutional rule does. So they can be set and agreed by the board, they can be changed by the board, but they have the same sort of bearing as the board, so as the constitution. So just important to understand that difference. Constitution is set in concrete and you need all your members to 75% of the members to approve changes, but bylaws the board can put into place. So then preparing for your AGM, so this is coming up on all of us. We've got to be held within 6 months of the end of the financial year. So if anybody's in the corporate world under the Corporations Act, you have to have your AGMs within 5 months of the end of the financial year. But we're an incorporated association as Rotary, so we have an extra month. So we have to make sure that you've got your AGM held within 6 months of the end of your financial year, so before the end of December, because the financial year is July to June. You need to make sure that your key agenda items cover off things like approval of the minutes from the previous AGM. And again, the technical side there is that only people who've attended the previous meeting can approve those minutes. Simple little things like that, but everyone will, oh yeah, I'll vote. But if you weren't at that meeting, you can't approve those minutes. If you have a general meeting during the year for something else, as opposed to the annual general meeting, you don't approve those minutes at the AGM. You only approve minutes of a previous AGM at your AGM. You have your election of your office bearers and confirm them, so your president-elects and all your board that the president-elect puts together. Everyone votes and approves those, so that everybody knows 6 months in advance who's going to be holding which office. And then finally, you need to table and accept your financial report. Now, for incorporated associations, because we're well below $1 million in revenue, we don't need to have audited accounts. And as incorporated associations, you only need to have them audited if your members ask them to be audited. Most Rotary clubs don't bother with that. Usually your treasurers are somebody who's either an accountant or someone with bookkeeping skills or some sort of financial knowledge, so that they will do a proper job with your accounts. But you need to make sure that you table and accept. Now, that's the other important word. Members can only accept the financial report. They can't change it, they can't reject it, because the accounts are the accounts. Nothing you can do about it. I've got a question.
When you say table, do you mean it goes through point by point on the financial?
Generally speaking, yeah. So the question was, do we actually go through the accounts point by point at the AGM? Not necessary. What most clubs will do, because as part of your notice of meeting for your AGM, you should send out your financials, and people have time to read them and ask any questions of the treasurer before then. So it's really just a case of saying everyone's seen the annual report. There's been no questions, whatever, so happy to accept them, and everyone just accepts them. So if somebody wants to discuss them in detail, feel free to do it. Was there another question? I think some people just went for audited reports because every company they've ever worked with had audited reports. But
as incorporated associations. And is your revenue more than $1 million a year? No, so it's not required. Even in the Corporations Act, small companies don't necessarily have to have audited figures either. So it's probably just one of those conventions that somebody did at one time. And again, back in the day, no disrespect to some of our earlier Rotarians, but they were all very formal. And so there would have been formal treasurers that were accountants, and accountants said, oh, we've got to have these accounts audited to make sure that they're all tickety-boo. So it's probably just a hangover from that convention, but it's certainly not required by law. Okay, then preparing your financial statement, you do have to lodge it with the Department of Fair Trading. So at the end, within 7 months of the end of the financial year, so by the end of January the following year, you need to have lodged your financial accounts with the Department of Fair Trading, Secretary of the Department of Fair Trading. EOFY is end of financial year for the non-financial people. And the key things that need to be in your financial statement are your income and expenditure statement, often known as a profit and loss, technically called a statement of financial performance, your balance sheet, which is your assets and your liabilities, and technically called a statement of financial position. And then finally, it's advisable for all clubs to make sure you've got separate accounts for your administration and for your fundraising. So we all pay our membership dues and meal costs and things. That all goes into the admin fund. And that's not money that goes to the fundraising. And your fundraising money shouldn't go in there because it'll get lost. So you need to have a separate account for any fundraising that you do. So if you're raising money for a neonatal intensive care unit, humidity crew or something, that you've got a separate account to track all that, and then you can give 100% of that money to the charity you're raising the money for, and there's no confusion of where the money's going. That's pretty much it. So unless there's any questions, I'm not going to touch anything else because I don't want to wreck the computer. I'll leave it to Janice. To Julie. We're all having trouble with Judy's, Janice's, Jenny's. I'm not sure that there's any law. The question was whether or not you can have a large general account where you've got all your admin and operating funds and not such a big charitable account. But obviously what we're doing is we're raising money to give to charitable groups or whatever. So the focus of any money you raise from a sausage sizzle at Bunnings or a Dress for Success event like we held recently, or you do something where you wash cars, or it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're raising money for a specific purpose, that needs to go into the charitable fund and be tracked in there and then dispersed from there as well when you pay that money out. It shouldn't be mixed up with your admin account, which is your membership fees and your surplus from your meal, your meetings and so on. So make sure that, and if you need to buy equipment because you've got your own barbecue trailer or things like that, well, that's fine, but that all comes out of your admin account, not out of your charitable account. Interesting question. I'm not the accountant, and probably Ian McKenzie, who's online, who's the district treasurer, could answer that question. He was there? Yeah, he's probably going to get another scotch. But yeah, what we might do is send it in online and we'll get that distributed to everybody as an answer. Yeah. Yeah, I think generally what happens when you want to buy some equipment for the club, usually we as Rotarians will go, okay, no problems, here's $20 each or here's $100 each. And you all put that in and it's part of the general account, but it's for a specific purpose, like buying a marquee tent or a pull-up banner or whatever. It certainly wouldn't be part of your fundraising account. And then, as I say, the fundraising account must be kept separate just for the money that you raise for starving children in Biafra or for, the tsunami in Bandaracha or whatever, and then 100% of that money goes to that recipient. Okay? Any other questions? Any online?
No.
All good? Thank you, everybody, for your attention.
Thank you very much. And I think that sort of emphasises a range of detailed areas where you'll get more resources and more guidance. I might add that, and we mentioned Drew Sturgis. Drew, how you doing? Drew happens to
Doing well, thank you.
happens to be a fellow club member of Ron's. And it just reminded me of the point that Julie's got a number of people lined up to help with district technology guidance. So we are going to offer the district guidance in use of technologies for the future. Clearly, we need a little bit here. I think this hybrid experiment has sort of worked reasonably well. I hope you've got a lot of the messages, and we're about to have a quick discussion. But there will be technology guidance from the district as we go forward. So, look, we'll have a question though. We better have a question online, offline for the future. I know Kay Miralis is there. Kay is another assistant governor, and I didn't acknowledge Kay's presence in the room before. So Kay, if you're listening, how are you doing? And thank you for being an assistant governor for next year. Kay, she's had a great start this year. There she is. Fantastic, Kay. Good. So look, part of this pilot hybrid district event is also to include some discussion and feedback. If I could pose a question, but you might have other questions because there are a number of experienced past presidents in the room, now in leadership roles, in district roles, as AGs, as district governors or past district governors. So you can please ask us questions that you come to your mind about your coming year. But what I'd like to do is to start with questions from the Zoom room. So I'll have to sort of come around and be guided by those people with hands up. Could I pose a question to you? And that is, if you'd like to tell us a takeaway from this session, that would be appreciated. If you have some thoughts about what are your key takeaways from what you've heard over the past hour and a half, that would be really interesting to us. But please ask the questions that are interesting to you. So over to the Zoom room.
Yes, so I've got a question. My takeaway from this session is to present my club a full calendar year of events so that they know 5-6 months in advance what's happening and are able to plan their year about it. At the moment, we were just going on week to week, and that's no good. And it's much better planning. Not only that, but to have the whole of the club, all memberships, aware of the hierarchy of the district, so they can relate to the district in a way they're operating in a vacuum now. Now, I've got one question. My club, Parramatta City, meets every fortnight. We thought that might be a way to arrest the decline in membership, but in my view, it hasn't worked. Because it's every second and fourth Monday, and because this is 5 Mondays a month, it means that we might not have a meeting for 3 weeks. If someone misses a meeting, they're 5 weeks out of it. And I've found that for the longest we've tried this, some members lose contact completely. And I'm going to consider, when I become president, of reintroducing the weekly meetings. I've told the members that if it's such a drag, to such a burden to go to a Rotary meeting, why belong to Rotary at all? And I think that the more you have, the more activity you have, the greater the membership.
Good on you, Malcolm. Any comments on that? Because I think it's worthwhile just trying different versions for your club and see what fits your club. Is my direct answer to you. That's Malcolm, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
My direct answer is to try different things. Warwick, do you have any suggestions? Anyone else?
Sorry, am I allowed to just do a quick comment on that?
Kerry, go for it.
Jeremy? Yeah. Malcolm, our club went to like fortnightly, but what we do a fellowship on the 5th Monday, and everybody comes and their partners, and it's a real boost. So I'm not saying not go back to weekly meetings, but that floating Monday has become our fellowship with partners, family, anybody. So just a thought.
Okay.
Ron Brown here, guys. Kerry, you beat me to it. The Darlings meet fortnightly, the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month. And when there's a 5th Wednesday of the month, we have a social in the evening. And that's really helped glue the club together and keep everybody engaged. But we find the most critical thing in our club, and we're only a small club with about 25 members, the most critical thing for us, and Drew, you can challenge me if I'm wrong, this is actually doing lots of stuff, doing fundraising events, getting involved in things with the community. and getting all our members involved in those events. And that's what really drives the membership and keeps everybody engaged, because as soon as they join, they're involved in doing something, you know. And we don't do sausage sizzles because we don't have a Bunnings in the middle of the city. But we, you know, Dress for Success, and we've got various other programs we run through the year. Getting people engaged in those really helps build and cement the membership, regardless of the fortnightly turnaround.
Okay, any more questions from the Zoom room? More questions, please, or any takeouts?
I want to ask, if you go to the audience that's there, can you take a mic with you? Because none of us can hear the questions that have been asked.
Okay, we'll do, Kay. Kerry, sorry, we'll do Kerry. Did you hear me, Kerry? Could you hear me when I said yes?
Yes.
Okay, so we will do, yep. Other questions or statements? Kathy? Kathy?
I just wanted to repeat the comment I made the other night after our AG training, and that is that I've been in Rotary for over 20 years, and I'm the daughter of someone who's been in Rotary, who's passed over 40 years. So my entire life has been Rotary, and never in that time have I seen groups of district governors working together and developing forward planning and developing 2, 3, 4 ongoing planning. And I want to congratulate everyone, because this is a big change, and this is a change that's really going to support every Rotary club, because you're going to start to get a pattern of change. Things will be documented, you'll be able to get answers, and there's a future progression plan. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Conscious that I have a past district governor in the room, we've had some pretty damn good previous years anyway.
I'm not saying that, but this is an obvious planning working into the future.
Kathy, thank you very much. And look, we're trying to do the best for the district. I think there's been other regimes in the past that have got their planning really well together, and I'll acknowledge, you know, many years in the past that I've seen work very well. But look, we're trying our best, and your involvement, Kathy, and the President-elects in this room and in the Zoom room will help that enormously. So, any other comments from the Zoom room? Kel, were you bidding on an auction item, or were you? All the proceeds will be going to the Janice and Jeremy entertainment account. Okay, let me open to the room, and I'll take the microphone around to the room. Some comments from the room. Just what your takeout has been tonight. Please give us some takeout, because we've done a bit of work. Julia, around here, if I may.
My name is Julia. I'm from the Rotary Club of Holroyd, and I'm one of these few people who's never had anything. I find this really interesting, because I went to a new members meeting training just like 2 years ago, and I thought that was fantastic. And this is in the same sort of area. I now know what Rorks and Ryler and Ripen, and Ripen's what happens when your oranges are able to be eaten. Sorry, that's going to be silly. My question probably comes, and I found this really fascinating and very positive. I think some of these people said there, I agree with. When you talk about strategic planning, I remember we had a strategic planning plan. Something called COVID suddenly hit us. And I just wondered whether the gentleman was talking about planning. What do you do? There'll never be another COVID, says she, optimistically. What do you do in terms of strategic planning when all of a sudden you can't meet, you can't go to Bunnings? Oh, may I comment? At Bunnings, everyone says everything's back to normal. There's a Bunnings barbecue. it's a lovely feedback, but what do you do in terms of planning that suddenly the world changes?
Kerry, can you hear us? Can people on Zoom hear us? Can you put your finger up, thumb up if you can hear us? Great.
It's muffled.
So Stephen Humphrey, to have the first answer, then what?
In simple terms, change your plans. I think you've got to just be prepared to just modify your plans mid-year if something goes wrong. As I said, you need to be reviewing your plans on a regular basis anyway. And COVID or not, there might be other circumstances why something that you've planned can't happen for another reason. So you need to be prepared to make changes as you move through, and that only comes through the process of reviewing and evaluating and just checking your progress on all your plans.
Yeah, I'd like to reinforce what Stephen's just said. I started off in the same boat pre-COVID. We had plans in place from November. We were starting with the online learning, but as a complementary to the face-to-face. When COVID came along, we ramped that up to full online learning. I think the secret is to be adaptable to the environment you're going to be in and what you're working with. So don't say this is my set plan for the year. Be flexible and it'll work.
I just want to throw in, Ron Brown here, I just want to throw in a quick little comment. Mike Tyson is famously quoted as, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I think COVID was a great punch in the mouth this year, wasn't it?
I take it from this post my mouth. That's not the Toastmasters fault. I gather from all this is you want teamwork, which is probably the best way to go. Luckily, CSIRO is all teamwork. Anyway, is there some tools that you can supply us in terms of software or whatever, project, something like that, where we can get our strategic plans in, we can do our timelines, and hopefully manage and work?
When you go into my learning after I send the link out tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, then there's the club health check and then analysing the results. There's a whole list of resources to support you. And then as we work through PES, we will be working on the tools that are available in Rotary International and in my learning to help you. So there's lots of tools available.
This is our district one. It's almost finished. Almost, I think. These little junctions. I brought it with me tonight. This is just this is the strategic plan, and there's an action plan to go with it. It will be delivered to you as president-elects at the AGM, and the presidents at the AGM, and you are asked to support it. And it will be online, and the whole plan will be given to you, and you can use it as a model if you want. So it's clean and lean. Because we had ones before where there's 26 pages and nobody read it. So this is about 4 pages in the front, Stephen, about 4 in the action. That's it. It's lean and mean. And if you want to use that as a model, it's the most well, because it's got to be in line with the district one. Thank you.
And you can also go to your assistant governors. Lynn Bates, I didn't acknowledge you before. Lovely to see you here, one of our district governors, one of our assistant governors in the eastern suburbs. We just took it on at the last minute. Thank you for doing a great job. Other questions, other feedback from the room? The takeaways? Yeah, take it to it.
Steve, Karen by Rotary. The one take I think I've taken from tonight, after having been a member of Caringbah for probably 10, 15 years, is that my focus was going to be, okay, what are the members going to do? And here I am trying to put a plan together. But realistically, it's not about looking down at what we can do locally here, but it's also using all the resources of other clubs, the district, and then national and international. And you go right up to the polio and many of the global programs there. And I think tonight is a good reminder to me that we're not isolated. I think the other president-elect, I'd love to have chats to them as well about what they're doing. I doubt if I'm going to do the same things as previous presidents have done, but I think I'm going to have a far greater vision of how we can work with district and how we can get feedback from district, not just from our members as well. So congratulations on tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've been listening. Terrific. Other comments? Other comments? Question?
I think that was fantastic, very, very beautiful to the point summary. And all the it was good, but I like the calendars. Oh, you got problems.
Ron, you're sexy afterwards. After all.
Hi, Oscar Jones from Iron Cove Rotary.
Yes.
I think one of the challenges that we all face, and district seems to be doing a very good job of it, is you come in, you have your one blast of 1 year, and then everything changes when the next person comes in. And one of the things that we haven't done yet, but we're planning to, is to actually try and engage people with a 3 and a 5 year strategic plan, rather than just this 1 year that keeps flicking and changing depending on who the president is. So that's certainly a challenge I'm looking at, and I'm looking at our district has done that, to build a team that continues on. And we've all got, I guess, leaders clubs as well. Having gone through the training in COVID, all online, it's going to be great to actually have a mix of both online and the face-to-face. There was a little bit missing with it all being online, and you didn't actually get to talk to people and actually engage. And I think that's going to be a great thing about bringing it back to some of these sorts of events. So thank you.
Oscar, thank you very much. Julie.
That's a really good point, Oscar. Change takes 5 years. You're not going to get change under that level of time. So hopefully the district governor, whatever it's called, the one with the and the one following, carry on the plans that Warwick started this year.
Okay, any other comments? Because I don't want to go over time. We might wrap it up very soon. Any other burning comments that anyone wants to say before we wrap up? Back to the Zoom room. Anyone in the Zoom room with anything else that they'd like? No? That's a wave, I think, Drew, not a bid. Good on you, Drew. Okay, I'm keen to sort of wrap it up and be on time on our district event, and say that, look, it's fantastic that you've all come tonight. We're all delighted that your commitment to your new role is such that you're starting early, like we are in the district, and I think what do I do? Julie, what did I do? Don't touch the technology. Oh. That's what I do.
I don't know why it's doing that.
So we've got a few sensitive buttons here. Are we back?
Yeah,
we're back. Good. So, a couple of themes that have come through. One is that, and I was delighted that Stephen said your strategic planning should start now. And look, that's sort of behind doing this in November, 7 months before you start, so you can get in your mind a planning mode and thinking about what you want to achieve. And back to Oscar's statements about, look, it's much better if we can sort of look forward 3 and 5 years. Well, you've got a chance to start that now and work with your current president to have a really good handover and continue the work that they're probably doing really well. So strategic planning can start now. Your My Learning will start soon, and Julie will give you My Learning. And look, I think a necessary characteristic of a Rotarian, you've got to have a badge fetish. And I think Julie's going to support you with that badge fetish. And look, lastly, really, I'd say that if I'd like something that you would take away is that Rotary's not going to go through a change. We're already in the middle of transition. We're already in the middle of a new Rotary, and a new Rotary is emerging. And the best response that you can, the best response to your club that you can make is to provide great leadership. And I'd go back to your club giving the faith in you to have elected you to be president-elect. And it is because you've got leadership qualities, and we're here as a district to support your leadership qualities, and we know it's going to be a great year. So thank you very much for attending in this room here. Thank you very much for those very perseverant and patient folk who have come via Zoom. Let's give applause to everybody here for turning up. That's applause to you all, and congratulations for starting your journey. You've probably started it already in your mind, but if we can take it further and we can add to it and add value, that's our job. Thank you indeed. Closing the night.
So just before we go, just very quickly, there will be an evaluation form of tonight. Julie's been really busy and it's almost finished, and it will be sent out. And the Zoom room people, you will all get one on email. And we really appreciate if you would give us some feedback. This hybrid, what we're doing is different. Jeremy's looking outward, and we won't have a team effort, and we're talking about change and all of those things. So we really appreciate your feedback. So when you get it, please send it back to us. Thank you. Keep safe and stay well.
So as we turn off the Zoom and as everybody's sort of starting to just socialise, a big thank you to Julie Colorado who put this together tonight.